Exactly, and and so we'll look at that and think it's more authentic. Well, why aren't you on the reservations with the people? Don't even know to allow them to federally recognize you means you can't have your right of militia. You're under their jurisdiction. You're a War
Well,
II.
it's
You're a
even
War
funny
II
when
state.
when niggas be like, "I'm Cherokee."
Hmm.
Everybody say they Cherokee, and I'm like, nigga, do you know Cherokee is a confederacy? Like
Absolutely,
Cherokee took over thousands of tribes.
absolutely. They invaded.
Like just
When
like the
they
Zulu in
invaded,
South
they
Africa, the Zulu
enslaved.
took over
They were the
hella
Arabs.
tribes.
They were the Arabs of. They were the Arabs of America. And in Virginia, they were called the Westos when they invaded, when they were employed to slave. John Ross led them. And look, John Ross boasted his whiteness. People don't even know that in those days, colonists boasted being white. John Ross' Cherokee name was Onega G Squat. That means white bird. Yeah. The John Ross of the time when the Cherokees were this, mind you, even to take on the description of being civilized, meaning you behaved as the colonists, meaning you were enslaving, you were doing things he did. That's why he called you civilized, because even in American jurisprudence, civil, you look up the word civis, it means to be property of Rome, right?
Right.
Because the law we have now is all primarily Latin anyway. The law we have now in Black's law are Latin, but it's just funny how they're called civilized tribes because they were civilizing, meaning conquering, enslaving, doing the same shit that. It is funny how, yes, as it has been attested to by scholars, they took on Native American names, anglicized it for land acquisition. I'm echoing off of number two. Number two, you're going to have to mute up. I'm echoing.
Right.
Number two. Number two.
Oh, I'm echoing. My bad.
Okay. But yeah, and I think what I think another thing about that, Native Americans did enslave Black people, but I think what's not talked about is that not all Native Americans were a part of it, and that the Native American tribes that did instill within slavery, right? They were controlled by colonists that mixed in or that were predominantly colonized. You know what I'm saying? I mean, not Native Americans.
Well,
And they did it
it was the huge confederacies like Cherokee, Blackfoot,
hmm
Navajo.
Yes.
Even I forgot the names, but there's two tribes in California that did it, which is why most of the areas in California are segregated like they are now.
hmm
Um, and then I mean, even up here in Washington State, like with the tribes up here, they did the same shit. But like they had this Reformation school shit that they were doing in Native Americans too. You
Mm.
know, they put them in Reformation school and had the nuns whooping them and shit like that, trying to teach them how to be white. You know,
All over.
so I mean, it was a whole erasure of Native American people, and I mean, and that's why you see white Native American chiefs in Oklahoma and Mississippi and shit,
Yes.
like because they wanted to
Yes.
erase black people and people of color. And I mean, and Native Americans here are not just niggas; they're
Right.
Asiatic people. The Asians were here.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
it's just crazy. And then a lot like if you want to claim your rights, they fuck it up to where oh, it's paternal, so you have to prove that your father was this, or it's maternal, you have to prove your mother was this.
hmm
And they know
Right.
they know the situation to where like statistically you can't do it.
hmm Yep.
So
And they're deny you it. They'll deny you citizenship. They denied my
mhm.
they denied my grandmother's
I mean, because
father.
little do
They
they want to
denied
say
my
Black Wall
grandmother's
Street was
father
literally
Eastern Cherokee and they put him on a prefix, even though he was pure blood when he was born. pure blood
Yeah, that's what they
still
do.
put on the
That's what they do.
freeman? Why do you do that?
Right.
That they didn't. And because you were
And I
black,
mean, and
they put you on the
Tulsa,
freeman
fucking
list, even if you
Black
were
Wall
not
Street was
freed as a slave.
literally a bunch of Native Americans.
Absolutely. Yep, that
Rosewood,
wall.
Florida was a bunch of Native Americans. Montgomery was a bunch of Native Americans. All the places they burnt down. Atlanta, Detroit, a bunch of niggas.
Yeah.
Native Americans. They literally deliberately motherfucking did all that shit and then made reservations 30, 45 miles out of there and gave them motherfuckers reparations so they could drink and die. And then once they kill a bunch of them, they open the casino.
That's crazy. Or mixing up the tribes. That's crazy karma.
Yeah.
I think what's crazy. I think what's crazy karma is how Native Americans were the first ones to colonize this land against the people who were here before them. Then those people lost, right? They beat the Aboriginals. Aboriginals was confined to certain areas. Then the white man comes and do the same shit back to them. I thought that was something. You know what? There's a movie that shows that argument where I forgot what movie it is. This white dude sitting down talking to a Sioux chief, and the Sioux chief was talking about, oh yeah, something, and then the white man got on his ass back and said, well, did you have that same shit when y'all fought the Cheyenne? Because the Sioux did fight the Cheyenne for their part.
But that's the funny thing about it, because they like to tell the story about those people that conquered the people that were here as if they just assimilated and folded them in. You know, like, oh, it was in peace, right? Like just how they like talk about Shaka Zulu, they're like he didn't kill everybody and burned everything down. From Weta and Hulsa and all those tribes to motherfucking make
a lot of
it
Africans
whole.
don't like Shaka because of that.
Yeah.
They don't have their identity because of that.
Shaka Zulu.
I know a lot of South
Shaka.
Africans who do not know their identity. Mind you, I speak Isi Zulu, right? That's my strongest African language. I actually speak Isi Xhosa, which were.
Well, I would beg to differ.
I like that. They still searching for their identity. Zulu is not an ancient word. That's my point.
No, it's not. It's not. But I mean, it's funny because Zulu was supposed to continue, but Shaka was so prideful that he didn't want any heirs.
They still got on the British ass. I give them that, but they had to amalgamate and force a lot of Africans in their system to fight all.
Well, Shaka, you know what's funny? Because they came to South Africa and gave them heroin. They gave them heroin. Shaka was high out his mind. I don't know. I see it but a lot of Shaka Zulu story. A lot of Shaka Zulu story is in fable, and they don't want to talk about it because it will insult. You know.
Yeah, they
still have the Zulu royal family. They still have the Zulu royal family.
Some use it as a source of pride, but real Africans that I know, in their language, they're debating over which royal houses or which tribes are who, and we're not the Zulu identity that they've been giving us. And they'll know that, and they'll be like, oh yeah, you know, my great grandfather, he was Lamini. That's like another ancient tribe within them. And they'd be like, but we became known as the Zulus later. And it's like, I see them all the time fighting for, it's not just black people in America arguing for our identity. See, although the African might have a tribe, listen to what I'm about to say. Although the African might have his tribe, it doesn't mean he's living his ancient original identity. He could be taken on identity by a colonizing tribe that they became subjected to, and they became known under that title. That's what happened with the Zulus.
But that's the story of the Cherokee. But that's the story of the Cherokee Confederacy and the Blackfoot Confederacy, and before then the Yamasee, who had Florida. And there are a bunch of tribes that had confederacies. But when people be like, "Oh, I'm Cherokee," I don't laugh at them because I'm just like, well, you confused just like everybody else is confused because shit, your tribe had to assimilate to them.
Right.
You know, because even up here, the history of the Native Americans up here in the Pacific Northwest, like Tualatin Muckleshoot and
Yeah.
all the other tribes. Like
We
they took over small
we were taught the
tribes.
ones where I'm from in Cali, in California. They taught us the one we were from. The whole Miwok people in the San Jose and the Ohlone. We had the Ohlone Indians in the Bay Area.
You're right.
That's where I'm from.
And
So
like even the
they
tribe,
talked about it, but they
I
never
forgot the
associated with
name
us.
that Khalifa was from, the Queen Khalifa.
She's from
Even her
Baja. She lived
tribe,
in Baja, allegedly.
but they like their stories about her tribe being assimilated into a bigger Mexican tribe. Well, they're not Mexican, but
Yeah,
now you
they
would say
said
they're
she was part of
Mexican.
a matriarch. Hmm.
But yeah, but I mean, but what happened in Zulu Africa is the same shit that happened to the Maasai in Kenya. It happened in Ethiopia. They still fighting in Ethiopia.
Hmm.
So I mean, it ain't odd or whatever, but you know, what was
Right.
fucked up
I thought it,
about
yeah.
the U.S. black people is that
Hmm.
even it shows, even when these people go get the 21andMe DNA test, that you're
Right.
not African.
Nope.
You're not
All
African.
they gotta do is put their DNA on conservative, and all the African inferred ancestry would disappear or be lowered.
Right, right.
Put
Because
it on.
they're
If
even having to
whoever
go
took
back. They're
23andMe, I
editing
took
now.
23andMe. Put your whole composition on conservative mode, and all your African DNA goes down because they can't. They can't. That's not based on
But
speculation.
they're going back and editing people's results even now, saying like, oh, well, you're Southwestern Native American tribal, and
Hey,
before
Hope.
they were 40% Igbo.
Hey, Hope.
You know what I'm saying? And it's just like that's what's fucked up about the plight of the American Negro. That the story of the Middle Passage versus what actually really happened is never going to be told. It's never
Right.
going to be told.
Hey,
You
Hope.
got a question?
Because I
Go
Hope.
mean,
ahead,
even
Hope.
when you look at the slave auction flyers,
Hmm.
right? Like through all the years in the US, they did
Hmm.
not come with 400 slaves. It was 50, 40, 60 slaves or whatever.
Right.
It came from the islands because wasn't y'all beating the Africans in Brazil and weakening them so that they were
Right.
docile to sell them up here? So what
Nah,
so
say
what you
hello.
mean you brought 400 slaves from Togo over here on these little boats
Yeah,
that you
they.
don't
Yeah,
have
they
you
didn't.
don't have no there's no artifact of these boats making that big
And then
voyage.
on top of that, though, frauds. A lot of people give America. They think of America in its state that it's in right now as a wealthy state or a superpower. That's not what America was during slavery. It was young. It was a
No, it
young
wasn't.
country. So with
Very
that
young.
being said, it didn't have the resource or the revenue to orchestrate such a very expensive business. It wasn't like they were literally like buying bootleg slaves, like we used to buy the DVDs and shit.
Right,
Like
literally.
that's
They
literally
were
where
on
they
farms.
were
They
with
were on
Tobacco
slavery.
and
farms.
sugar.
Catherine
Tobacco and
Medici
sugar.
was
They
loaning
love
so
that.
much money to Florida for them to excavate in Florida, and they were getting eaten up by crocodiles. And let me tell you this. Let me tell you this. We have to as well take in consideration that we've been looking at these maps for years. Africa and
Hmm.
South America is humongous in
They're
Yeah,
comparison
humongous,
to the United
that's
States
a
and
fact.
right?
China and shit like that. So
Hmm.
Africa is so close to Brazil, it's ridiculous. I
It's
would
very
rather
big.
believe that the Africans went to Brazil
They
and then
did.
you shipped them to the West Indies and then you
They
shipped them to
did.
Florida,
Frauds.
Louisiana, versus you shipped
Hmm.
them from Bikini Faso to fucking
Hmm.
Africa. That's a 6 month trip.
But Brazil at the time they were a developed country and they actually had the most slaves imported through Brazil. Like, you know what I
Right,
mean? But
exactly.
because of the distance was shorter, like, you know what I'm
Right.
saying, and the wealth that was there to be made. Like, nobody's going nowhere. If I could sell a Cadillac for $20,000 and then go to another place and sell it for $5,000, I'm always going to go to the $20,000 spot. That's just what it
And then
is.
you have to
Like,
realize what were the biggest slave trading companies at the time? The Portuguese.
right,
Correct.
right,
Brazil.
And that's
Brazil.
why. Listen,
right.
to help the argument out even better. when the first map that made America, which was in 1507 by Martin Walsingham, the word America was first put on South America, Brazil. It was not put in
Right.
North America. Go look at the map right now. Google
Right.
1507
No, I
or
seen that.
put
I know what you're talking
Martin
about.
Waldseemüller. Type in Martin Waldseemüller map of America. That's the first map America gets its first name on. Why is it in Brazil? That's where it's at. Something interesting. People don't know.
And then Brazil was even larger than what they carved out now for Brazil.
Christian,
Uh,
I got a question. Christian, how you doing? You from California?
See, I'm born and raised from Cali, man. I'm from Oakland, California, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, I got a question. Tell me about the Bear Clan. Tell me about those guys, the Bear Clan,
Who?
the
There's
keepers of the
many bear
medicine.
there's many bear clans within America, so that's not really distinct. There are
The
many
ones
bear
in
clans.
California, the keepers of the medicine.
I don't know who you're talking about. Where do they live at? Where I'm from, there are no bear clans.
Okay,
I never heard no Bear Clan. That's crazy.
It traces you all the way back where they came from. So if you're asking me about a bear clan and all this and who's this, there's many different tribes and we don't remember all of the tribes, but none of them are from California. Even the history of California. Again, if you want to have that discussion, we can about the
And I mean,
Aboriginals.
technically,
tell me about
if you're talking about bear clans, because I'm familiar
wasn't
with the phrase,
California Mexico at
but I
some
don't know
point?
too much about it. But it's a very racist term.
Yes, it is.
It's a very racist
But was
term
it?
because it bunches up a bunch of people where they where they were coexisting with bears, and generally it's up here in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
So it's a
Apache
very
means enemy,
racist term,
and that's what they, that's the only
and it's
Apache
talking
is
about the
called.
Native Americans in Alaska as well.
Right.
So I mean, it's very that if that's what you're talking about, you would want to call these people by their tribal names.
Yeah,
Tuela,
because bear clan is not
Muckachu,
really like how you kind of like approach asking the question like, who's the bear clan? Like, well, hold on. There's bear
because
clans
there are
among the
many
Choctaw.
tribes
There's bear
that were
clans among the
called bear
Cherokee.
clans
Like,
because they harvested bear meat and they knew how to capture bears.
But Yogi, when
And
did United States or when did California become a part of the United States? Because wasn't it a part of Mexico?
well,
that's
Mexico
after the
wasn't
Treaty of
called
you talking about
Mexico.
the Treaty of Guadalupe, the Mexican
Yeah,
Right,
American War, the Mexican
because
American War.
right,
Texas, Nevada,
right.
California
That shit was
was
like, well,
But
all
they
I know it
but
wasn't
remember
called Mexico
California
then.
had to get incorporated. I can't remember. It was not too long in the night. It was in when was it? 18. It was the late 1800s. When California became somebody Google that when they first became a
I don't
state.
remember it vividly, but I know that they coined it California to honor Khalifa.
Absolutely,
Who's
Queen
Queen
Khalifa.
Khalifa peoples? Who's her family? Queen Khalifa. Who's her family?
There's no documents of her direct family by names. The legend of her comes from a man named Garci Rodriguez Montalvo. Garci Rodriguez Montalvo in the 1600s wrote something known as the Esplandian. In the Esplandian epic, he writes about a woman who lived in a place called Baja, right?
Right,
That was really California. California was
right.
really called Baja originally, for the whole state got called that.
The whole area,
Allegedly,
which included parts of
according to the
Nevada.
story, to make a long story short, since she was a tyrant woman and she was a chief, they called her Khalifa, which is a feminine Arabic word for female ruler, because Muhammad had four
Right.
caliphs. Khalifa is
Yep.
feminine. So the legend is that she was captured and went to Constantinople and converted to be a Muslim. And that's where she finally began to get called Queen Khalifa. So technically,
Right.
she's not a queen because she's not a monarch in Europe. She's not any of that. and she's not.
Right.
She's not.
Right.
We're just led to believe she converted. They could have just wrote that. So I don't know if she was really a Khalifa. Louis used the term, but that's a brief history. In fact, if Whoopi Goldberg played her in a movie, you can look that up. And Mark Hopkins Hotel in San Francisco shows a etching of her with an afro, clearly a black woman, afro but robust, and that's just it.
Right.
You know.
Okay.
Look,
Okay.
I got a cousin Lolita named after the bitch in the yellow dress. And that's what my
But
I
but
think it's
they
fascinating to
but I
have an
mean
army. See, I didn't even
it's
get
so
into
it's so
what Queen
crazy to
Latifah
me
did.
that like when we talk about the Americas and the Native people, that we want to assume that what I don't want to say the white man, but the white man didn't erase the
I don't want
culture
to
that
say the white
existed here
man, but the white
already.
man.
No,
Because
well,
I mean there was trade going on here before what they call the Middle Passage even happened.
what about the Vikings? Because they're going to talk about the ancient Europeans they came from. What if they bring the Viking army?
And I mean,
They're going to do that.
it's funny because we talk about you always be talking about light skinned mulatto and shit like that or whatever. But
Because I'm a
it's
mulatto.
true. It's true because a lot of us are actually Asiatic because Asians were here way before.
They say up to 30,000 years allegedly. Science says they've
Yeah,
been here for at least 30,000
I've
Hey,
read
correction.
50,000, but hey,
I for the leave right quick, and I for the pull something, and I for the put it to your chat for you to look at right quick. Okay. So is
yeah.
I, I'm asking questions. I ain't trying to teach you. You the man. So I'm trying to figure out some
No, you
stuff.
fine. You fine. We just talking. Yeah, don't
So
feel like that. We just talking.
So what
I'll,
is
I'll
that?
be
Because
I'll be right back.
Yogi,
I'll, I'll be right back.
The people here were
my
diggers.
Asiatic, because I have Asiatic blood. I'm B, and but a lot
Oh,
of
really?
Jamaican people have B blood. Yeah, I'm B. So
You
I don't know
said
what that
blood?
means.
You
Yeah,
said blood group, or are you talking about you talking about a haplogroup?
I'm just talking about my blood type.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
well, okay.
But that's like Hindu, South Asia, like, and I'm like, why is that my blood type? And I was like,
Because the
why ain't I?
Southeast Asians were here. That's the funny thing about it. The
Well,
Vietnamese,
they
the
must have been every
Malaysians.
fucking where
No, they
because
were. They were. Because you have to realize that these continents, the map that you're looking at now, isn't necessarily really the true distance, and even then, these land masses were closer together
so
Yep.
you're
than they've ever
incorporating
been.
so you're incorporating the concept of Pangea, and also what a lot of people don't know,
Hold on now.
they look at the
I don't
map
want to go
and
into
they,
Pangea because that's a whole nother monster. But these land masses were closer together.
well, I
Right.
believe that they were closer together too, but you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, I believe in Pangea, but I don't want to go into that because there's a lot of shit in that. But
Right.
then as
But
well, we have
on
been
the map,
lied
it
to
tells you
about the
that's what legend
size.
means on the map, but that shit ain't
We've
real.
been lied to about the size of these continents, right? And these islands.
Right. They made Greenland hella big. Like that's a whole nother like conversation on the actual
Right.
cartography, the
Which
misinterpretations
complements
of
their
maps.
argument about global warming because they make everything big up there and then it descends, like it widens and then it descends, and it doesn't make sense that things would descend above the equator and then get smaller below the equator.
Hey, correction.
Well,
I'm gonna
it's a
send you something
legend, and
right
that's
quick
what
in the
maps
chat.
are. Maps are legends. They're not. It's not true. That's it. Nobody ever reads the legend at the bottom of the map, but that's what the legend tells you. Any map you look at has a legend. Like especially in school, read the legend, and they'll tell you this is like like a perspective of what
even
we think it is.
the old maps and even the current maps do not depict Africa as large as it is and as close
No, they don't.
as it is to
But
South America.
That's European dominance. Like they're not gonna
Right,
let you
right,
know that a place like
right.
Africa is supplying 33% of the world's oxygen.
Because okay,
Look
and
at you.
let me
That's
throw
look
this
at
at you, right?
y'all.
Let me throw this at you real quick, right? So you know they have the slave castles, right, in Africa, right?
West Coast.
So the slave castles in Africa, they literally parallel to Brazil.
Yeah, the equatorial currents. The
Right.
equatorial currents, north and south
They
currents
don't
would
parallel to
yeah.
Florida and Georgia and North Carolina.
Right.
They don't.
In fact, off the coast of the United States, the ocean currents take you straight to Europe, which goes
And
into
then when you think about
the Native American
even now when
discovery
they
of
start
Europe
talking about
that
like
Jack
the
D. Forbes has a whole book on.
geoengineering, even when they start talking about the geoengineering of like hurricanes and stuff, right? The hurricanes have to hit south.
Off the west coast of Africa, even though hurricane is a Native American word. Remember that
Right.
too. Go ahead.
Which is another funny thing, right? Because
Right.
Brazilians are
That's
Native
supposed right.
Americans, right?
But it's supposed to be
But
African
but
spirits
but
getting back
but
at the
when
slaves. That's the folklore.
even on the news now, they say, "Oh, you know,
They're mermaids
tropical
and
storm hit
mermen.
Brazil." Da, da, da. So how the fuck did these people fight those currents to get to Florida with 400 people on there and 13 crackers,
Uh-oh.
and they
Oh,
didn't even
you're
have enough
sounding too
food?
much like Dan Calloway now. Uh-oh, watch yourself now. You're sounding like Dan.
But
Yeah,
does it make sense on the
correction.
side on the size of those boats? They had 400 people down there, 13 crewmen, and they had food enough to keep them alive and you
Okay, so let
alive
me
as a
ask you now,
crewman.
Frogs. Let me ask you, Frogs. Because I know Africans still came here. And Africans mixed in. And some of you niggas is African. Y'all not all Indians. Do you believe in a transatlantic slave trade? Do you
No.
trust, like, for example, slavevoyages.org says, as we know, 4% came here, which is approximately around 300 to 400,000 Africans got disembarked in North America. North America had the least amount of slaves disembarked. I agree
Yes,
with that. I agree
that's
Right.
with
true.
that.
That's very true.
And most of the
I
Right.
slaves went to
definitely agree with that.
Central South in America, and we did all that millions and
Hmm.
millions and millions bullshit. So majority of black people in North America, a lot of them have indigenous ancestors. They're not because they came off some African.
Yeah,
So
they didn't come from
support.
and
And
I
and
and
agree.
I
you can
also
look
do
at
believe though,
the
Yogi,
erasure, the paper erasure, right? And
as
then
slavery
Some of
you
you
can
became,
niggas
look
African now. Fuck all that. Some of you niggas
but
African.
you
as
can look
slavery
at
became popular though, Yogi, I do think that once America got its bearings as far as making money and like using slavery to its potential, I definitely think the importation of slaves from South and Central America was a thing. Like they
Well,
definitely,
no,
don't
that's
forget about
literally what
listen.
happened.
Don't forget
That's literally
about
what
Come on, man.
Asia.
happened.
I can't get go to the
Don't
set,
forget
man.
about
I'm really trying to live.
don't forget about the trans-Pacific slave trade that Tatiana T has documented in her book, Asian Slavery in Colonial Mexico. Again, Asian
Well,
Slavery in
right,
Colonial
right.
Mexico by
But
Tatiana T has will
that is
teach you
even
about the
different.
trans-Pacific slave trade in what's
But
known
that's
as
even
the
different.
Manila Galleon. The Manila Galleon sent Filipinos, sent Asians, Indians to
Bingo,
Mexico, and guess
bingo,
what?
bingo,
In that book, it
bingo.
proves that they were later
Because a lot of
manumitted.
black people are
Another word for free.
Filipinos
They
as
were
well.
manumitted as to be classified as Indios. How is an
Right,
Asian slave later to be classified as?
right.
Yo,
Because I mean, how are these things still happening?
correction.
And
Host,
then
host,
listen to this.
host,
Listen to this before. Hold on. Before you say this, listen to this. So if the Africans were making this big 6 month voyage, 6 to 8 month voyage to to North America, right?
Mhm,
Not to Brazil, to North America, right?
mhm, mhm.
Why is it that you had mass droves of African slaves in Iraq, Afghanistan, Pakistan, India, China? Mongolia.
Trans-Saharans.
What you call Palestine now, what you call Israel now, what you call all of Europe, right? But how do you explain Catherine Medici is black?
Mm.
How do you explain
Somalians
the
enslaved
Sibyls in the
Bantus.
Vatican before the Vatican existed? How do you explain that? So there was this mass drove of Africans in the
Hmm.
Middle East and Europe and Asia, but you guys want us
And
to
Moors.
believe as well. In addition to that, you had 300,000-400,000 of these niggas from Africa, straight from Benin and Togo, against the current
But
in Florida.
that was over the total amount of years they came here. So I
But
will say that
why
even though it
would you
says
keep
around
funding
350,
voyages where they
380,
died?
30,000, I know
But
that a
but
lot of
but
those, I know that a
they
lot
never
of those
talk
died
about these
off
boats
and
sinking
they
either
mixed into the
with all these
populations
people.
that were here. So I'm
They
saying,
Right.
never
Yeah,
so
talk
number
about the
one, number
boat
one,
sinking with
number
all these
one,
people in
And
them either.
number one,
you
number one.
can't
Don't do
exclude
that number five. Don't
eugenics.
do that number five.
American
Number five. Don't do
eugenics
that.
made a
Don't do
lot of
that
new
number
black
five.
people.
Don't do that number five. Don't do that. I'm trying to get something in, man. I'm really trying to ask the whole something, man. I've been trying to, figure out certain stuff. I ain't trying to, let me. I send the link, but I'm guessing we have to I have to follow you and you follow me, or could I mirror it to your host? I got questions and I feel you might have the
Just
answers.
go ahead. Just
The,
go
this
ahead and say
this
it. Go
yeah,
ahead and
what's
say
your
it.
question, sir? Yeah,
is
what's your
seven.
question?
Is the thing is 7 minutes. Um,
7 minutes.
I
Hold on.
And we're not doing that. Just go ahead and do it. Say it.
okay.
Go ahead.
I
Here to see what was safe to eat, what was this and what was that. Now, when you bring that modern time, all that shit is eradicated because of skyscrapers and apartment buildings and houses and stuff, right? So the stuff that is still here of remnants of those stories, that's the stuff that people modern day talk about. The herbs that are still here in the midst of that. But
so you don't have
a
such
lot
thing
of
of
those
people of the
plants are
medicine.
Say it again about the
they're
medicine. What's your
non-existent.
question about the
You
medicine?
don't have such thing of people keepers of the medicine. You don't have a
No,
specific
there are
group of
many.
people. No.
There are plenty of people who are keepers of
Okay.
medicine. But to think it's only one special tribe, that would be very inaccurate. Because
Okay.
Right.
even in
Is
my
there is
cousin's
there such
tribe, there's
thing?
special
Is there
medicine.
such thing of a turkey
Right.
princess? Is there such thing of a turkey princess?
No, there was not.
Ain't such
Because
thing of a
in our
turkey
tribe,
princess.
in our tribe, we don't have princesses. We have Ugowiyuhi Awechiati. That's our word for a female that's a chief ruler. Ugowiyuhi Awechiati. That's so we
Okay.
don't have queens. And through the paternal inheritance of you are the father, the seed of the
Mm.
father. No patronymics. No. So that's already in
All right.
confliction with saying that they're Hebrews because they don't go by the father's line. That in itself would
Okay.
stifle the claim that they're Hebrews, or that they weren't. And then there's evidence of indigenous circumcision. But one would think,
Okay.
oh, well, that will prove they have a covenant with the Most High. But Egyptians circumcised. Circumcision is common in the ancient world. That was a rite of passage for a boy or a woman into adulthood, and for a woman to be marriageable. It's not something that the Bible was created. I'm pro circumcision. Yes, you heard me say that. I don't believe in
Okay.
imposing it on people who and say everybody needs to be circumcised. No, circumcision really was an initiation. It was we never did that to a baby. We
So the
never took
12
a
tribe.
baby.
So the 12 tribe. None of them ain't from America. They're from the other side of the world.
At least you said that last part right with the other side of the world, describing those people on that side. Yes,
Okay.
but no, like even the yeah. So and this is if you're speaking and studying the culture intrinsically from the people. What did the people say? Um, you know what I'm saying? And then what does the doctrine itself say? Does the Bible suggest that it has something to do with the Native Americans, or did somebody create that claim who were creating the association of black people in America being the chosen people, Israelite people, and then that's going as far as making other racial association to the 12 tribe. The 12 tribe is
So is
really,
in America the land of the
really,
giants?
the
Is in
12
America
tribes
is the land of the
really
giants?
is discussing astrology. Yes. What do you mean about the giants? What's your
Is
question
in
about the
America the
giants?
land of the giants? Is the true land of the giants?
America, yes. Well, all lands had giants at one point. All lands, even Europe, even Alaska. There's newspaper clippings showing giants in Alaska, 10 feet, 12 feet tall. But in terms of modern age, America was the last continent that was the land of the giants. I have lineage to the giants with my being born with 6 fingers on both hands. Like my mama, both my sisters, I'm really of the bloodline of the Nephilim, or that's what the Bible call them. We didn't call ourselves Nephilim, but we are giants in our family. Uncle's 7 feet, yeah, uncle's taller than that. But yeah, we have the 6 fingers and 6 toe traits and shit like that. Um, America has had the last remnant of the giants. In fact, that's a lot of African Americans, me, are people who are from here, are born with 6 fingers. In science, it's called postaxial polydactyly. And if you study the giants and the mound builders here, and the mounds that they had, the petroglyphs, the skeletal remains, you'll see us with our 6 fingers, 6 toe glyphs on the wall, us being giants. We compared ourselves to the Indians. I've showed the actual rock art. I'm one of the, and I'm going to say this confidently because I have the body of work to support it. I'm one of the leading authorities on the mound builders regarding the Alleghenies, Cluny Kanalu Dam. I actually have an actual name of a mound builder. I'm the only one in the Aboriginal community that has an official mound builder name from Native Americans that collectively had the same name for the people who they fought when they came here. And they're
Okay.
incorrectly identified as the mound builders. We didn't call ourselves mound builders. You understand what I'm saying? But that's what
Okay.
ethnos historians use to describe. And I would say the mound builder question is the question that exposes that Native Americans weren't the first ones here. Because when you study the migration legends of Native Americans, they mention people who were here when they first arrived, such
So
as
when they say the first people, who they talking about when they say the first people? Who they referring to?
so like among the Lenape, among the Lenni Lenape, the grandfather tribe of the East Coast. I'm gonna say it again. The Lenni Lenape, the grandfather tribe on the East Coast, speaks in their legend known is documented. It's called the Olam Walam. Olam Walam is also translated as the Red Score. You can Google Red Score right now and put Lenni Lenape or Olam Walam. And in that legend, it goes into how when they migrated down the St. Lawrence River and came to what we know today as New Jersey and New York in that area, they came across a people known as Charakewi, which later was corrupted by the French into Alleghenies. And there was something known as the Allegheny War. So the Lenni Lenape, the oldest grandfather Algonquin tribe in the East Coast, they documented the
Okay.
people who were here when they first arrived. And they're supposed to be the grandfather of all tribes. And so they call these people the Allegheny. And Allegheny is a
Mm-hmm.
corruption of Chattagouay. Chattagouay is the ancient name of the mound builders that the Cherokee language itself is named after, that modern Cherokees don't know. The
Okay.
language of the Cherokee is called Zalagi, right? Now,
Mm-hmm.
Zalagi, uh, a lot of them reject that. They say, "Oh, we are Aniyan, we Aniyan, we ya dun." That's what they'll say. But that is a modern Mingual cliche identity to say that, hey,
Now the
we are
guy,
the real
the
people.
video that I just sent you, you see how you just talk? That is how the guy is talking.
Or he might talk like that, but I don't do this for like videos. See how he had to do that to make it a video? I talk like this regularly because I'm really a historian on these things.
No,
So,
he was telling a story. Do you know that guy number one that just left? Do you know him like y'all speak Native American history? Do you know him like that?
I've had many builds with him and a couple others on the myriad of
Okay.
subject matters, and we've talked
I
about
think somebody,
indigenous
I think
history.
somebody just told him. I think somebody just told him who I was. So don't be surprised if he start having a conversation to you about me.
I might,
Which
yeah,
is
I
a good
might.
thing?
Don't, no,
Which is a good thing?
you
Which is a
don't,
good thing?
you don't worry about, don't worry about it. Don't even worry about it. Just
No,
stay
no,
on
which is a good thing. Now, let me ask you another thing. Is there going to be a Cherokee king someday?
Hell no, no such thing.
No such thing. And they don't have a
No such thing
Cherokee
as a
princess
Cherokee king.
that wear a bear headdress. They don't have a Cherokee princess that wear a bear headdress.
Hell no, hell no. The
Oh
nations
no?
today,
Okay.
nope, hell no. The nations today who claim them as that, as none of that is Cherokee.
So what it is?
Many people today who claim they descend from a Cherokee chief, or they're calling themselves a king. King and queen are not even terms we speak in Cherokee culture. We don't use those
Okay.
terms. So
Not
to
even princess?
say there's a such thing as a Cherokee king is an oxymoron to the
Oh,
attacking
prince. Oh,
to the
princess is an
none yeah,
oxymoron.
no prince, there's no princes. The real
Okay.
Ani none hiya don't do it.
All
All
right.
right,
So who's the tribe that wear the bear? Who's the
the
tribe that
real
wear the bear
the
headdress on the head?
real the real Ika Charaki Ayetli Udot song. That's who I'm talking about. The
Who's the
mountains.
tribe that wear the bear headdress on the head?
Many people do have wore that.
Many wear the bear headdress. Okay, but ain't a
Yes.
Pacific special one that come from an ancient
And
bloodline.
just about all the woodland tribes had bear hair skins and wore them.
Okay. All right. Okay. And none of the
What's your
prophets in
tribe?
the
What do
and none of
you
the prophets.
identify? Who are you? Hold on. Who are you? Where you come from? What tribe do you associate with? What God do you worship?
I'm a follower of Jesus Christ, but I'm from the United
Okay.
States Virgin Islands, and which is documented because I even watch it on and you probably know this guy. I probably pronounce his name wrong. He go like as Karumo, and
Oh, don't not.
um he mentioned something that's in our culture in St. Croix to America to St. Croix. Everybody know that history. And my dad, aunties, always let me know we're not Africans. Like if they was alive today, they'd be like over 100 years. They'd be like probably like 100 years old, and they will be doing the dance around the circle or whatnot, you know. But my grandfather also is that's my dad's mother side, and
And so they pass those people off as black people with straight hair. Very incorrect. And even using the term black, and like I said, so there's so many so I've been in the community for a minute. And before there was a Cameroon, before there was any of the people that y'all know now, before there was a Dan
Mhm,
Calloway, it was only a few people on the internet talking about this stuff. Um,
mhm.
and I'll tell you this: originally, the Aboriginal movement. Now, what you're hearing from me, you ain't gonna hear from the internet. You ain't gonna hear from none of these TikTok niggas because they're not. You talking to an OG in the community on this shit.
That's why I'm
Originally,
here. That's why I'm here.
the Aboriginal community started by Moors. The people who claim Moorish American, the people who claim to be Moors, they were the first ones in the African American community to make a deep association by claiming we are the indigenous people here. We have a global presence. The only problem with them is they were kind of stuck only on the Moorish stuff, and then they incorrectly identified everybody and everything as Moor. Time goes by, some people start to talk about it more, especially who came up out of those paradigms. So it's talked about. We're here. We're around. It's not really popular. You get some scholars talking about it. You even get Bobby Hemmett talking about it sometimes, right? You got Ivan Van Sertima, a great scholar, Leo Weiner, Dr. Clyde Winters. I can keep going on and on. Renoko Rashidi. So many people acknowledge and talk about the different people here. But as time went forward, and I say around strongly around 2012, around from 2010 onward, that's when the Hebrew Israelites wanted to jump in. That's when they finally they started to jump into the indigenous American movement. Now, what happened? One of the main reasons why a lot of Hebrew Bible believers that are now claiming to be indigenous Americans is because a lot of the people who heard our arguments and heard those more
Mhm.
arguments, they heard us saying we weren't African. They heard us saying all that Afro,
Yeah,
everything is African,
I believe
Afrocentric.
I
They knew
believe
that
you
was
on
good.
that.
They knew.
I believe
Listen, what I'm saying.
I
Listen,
believe
I
you
ain't
on
done.
that.
Let me land this. Hold on. Let me land this. This is very important.
Go
There's
ahead.
other people listening right now, right?
Go ahead.
So they heard the anti-African sentiment in the arguments, and that's what drove a lot of the Hebrew Israelites to jump in to claim to be indigenous because they already had the similar talking points by saying we're not Ham, we're of the Shem, we're not of the African Hamites. They enslaved us. You see what I'm saying? So that's why a lot of Hebrew Israelites jumped in to the indigenous American movement because they just hate any African association. Now, why did I mention that? Because you mentioned someone named
Mm.
Cameroon. Well, dealing with people who make talking points like
Burning.
him, he
He live
has
in
it, and
Central America.
I'm gonna end it here, because I want you to respond. Now, the talking points that he has is a Hebrew Israelite talking point, and he cites off the records from colonists, missionaries who believed that over here was the biblical land. So in his videos, when he starts saying this is the Egypt here, this is the real
Mm.
Israel, and he starts showing
Right.
biblical names here. See, this is something that Cameroon's not advanced to understand because he doesn't have advanced understanding on indigenous history. He doesn't know that
Right.
uh, he is breathing life into the old missionary folklore that's right because the Hebrew language was made by the Greeks. We'll talk about that another time. That
Right.
the colonizers coming here, they were looking for the biblical land. That's why they named it on their map. So when you look at all these early maps that have biblical names, when you're studying old writers and historians like Cameroon loves to look at, going in
Mm.
archives.org, pulling up the old PDFs where Europeans said this was this land, and they start comparing Maya to the Hebrew. And I know every argument that he comes with. I've seen it millions of times. He doesn't realize that he's pushing an old Masonic folklore that this was the biblical land and that this was Egypt.
Masonic.
And so that's why when you're telling me there's this a Native American association with the 12 tribes, I know that's under the folklore doctrine agency of Masons and Mormons. And that's the big trap that they're all in.
Mm. Real white man shit. I hear you.
Okay,
Mm.
okay. I hear you. Kashana. I pronounce your name right. I'm trying to butcher it.
Who?
Okay.
It's
No,
not.
who? You are trying to how you pronounce your name?
Who? My name? You can just call me Yogi. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah.
known as Yogi. Yeah,
Yogi,
you could all
Yogi.
you
Okay,
if you
Yogi.
study the place names, like I'll give you one example, and I actually showed the origin of the place called Moab in Utah. See, you hear that word? Oh my
No, I'm not
God,
talking
Yeah.
that's
about.
the biblical.
I'm not
That's the
agreeing
biblical.
with
Oh
that.
my God,
Moab.
Moab is in Utah. You ever hear that? People love saying that one, right? But
I
they don't
did hear
even
Yeah.
know
people
that
say that, but
the
I'm not.
reason why there's a place
Uh,
called Moab in Utah is because when the Mormons, who have a stronghold in Utah, came there, they came upon the Paiute Indians, and there was this creek that had hella mosquitoes. And then they
mm.
asked the Paiute Indians, "What is that called? What is all this?" And they said, "Muapa." Upon hearing that, they said, "That sounds close to the word Moab. This must be the place Moab." Did you know I can show you right now? Open up a book and prove that. And so that's how that place got the name Moab, not because it was an actual biblical name, because it sounded like Moab. And they used and so Mu'apa. Hold on, let me open my book. Let me get this book. I ain't freestyle. Let me show
Yeah, that's fucking
I
bad.
know about the Utah they come across her
I just want to
and the
ask a
house of
question.
David. And the house of David is not Cherokee Indians in America.
you. Listen, all you gotta do is study the place called Moab. All right, you already
Okay.
got the homework. It deals with
Mhm.
flies, buzz, water, right? From a
All right.
Paiute word. Muapa, muapa. See?
Muapa.
Yes, muapa. It comes from a Pau word. So they saw the word muapa, muapa. And they
So
said that sounds
move.
like Moab. And that's how I got
Oh,
his name.
these niggas ain't shit.
Okay.
But if you don't
No,
study
they
that
hell for
deep
this shit.
into the place names, if you don't study that deep into the place names, you'll think
Mhm.
that, oh my God, this is an actual place called Moab. And then you're going to put the whole history of the Bible with it. Then you're saying this is the special place. And now we taking this shit somewhere that all you had to do was learn how to got its fucking name, nigga. That's all
Okay.
you had to do.
Well, let me ask you this: do you believe
So when you start citing shit like the Bats Creek Creek writings, you start citing the Ten Commandments that's in the Toguna in Mexico. I don't think you guys really study those artifacts carefully. I don't think you've done it.
okay?
I just want to ask a
I don't
personal
think
question,
you've
Randy,
done
and I'll
it
be
because
quiet.
there's the chair. I could bust up every Hebrew Israelite claim where they say that's Hebrew writing. Now
I'm not
I
Hebrew
will
Israelite.
say,
I'm not Hebrew Israelite.
I know.
I talking about my great aunts. My great aunts wasn't black. My great aunts was
Yo,
red
host.
You want to
with
know that book? Hold
They
on,
don't know.
somebody in the
They don't
comments
know.
want to know the book I read out of. That's the American
You
Place
don't
no,
Names.
know.
I'm not
You
talking
really
Just
about
study
don't
them.
know.
place names. I don't hide
That's
my
not why
I
you're
know who
here.
information.
my I
Why
know
you
who my
think?
I don't
Yo,
hide my
host,
my
before I
information.
father
dip,
people them was.
I'm in Kenya. God damn it.
It's,
Just,
excuse
yo,
me,
bro, I'm not
excuse me, yo, can
fighting.
I ask
I'm
a
not
question when they
fighting.
done?
Yeah, let number 8
Go
ask a
ahead.
I'm not
question. Let number
fighting.
8 ask question. Let number 8
Go
talk.
ahead.
He been
Go
trying
ahead.
to talk. Number 8.
All I want to know, because I'm listening to what you're saying, and I know we've had our disagreements, but I'm wise enough to know when somebody knows something more than I do. So my question really is, because I am someone who believes himself to be a Moor, not
Okay.
just the historical aspect, but the entire
Okay.
essence of the word. So my
Okay.
question really lies around that, and I want to ask you, am I right for calling myself a Moor? Because my ancestors, my grandparents, my mom and them, they told me that I was
Mhm.
Indian. It's not
Yeah.
something that I chose, like being a Moor. So am I right for still
Right.
saying that, even though the evidence I see
No,
says I am?
you're historically right. I think when we now, mind you, if we're butchering the word more, we got to throw Indian out the window. Both are foreign
Okay.
terms. Now, I
Because
will
it's so
say
many
that
different forms.
I
I
will
feel you on
say
that.
that more is a better noble title than Negro or black or colored. I will give the word more that nobility because why? Because there's an actual rich history in Europe tracing
Right.
back to Al Andalusia. And for those who study the
Mhm.
golden age of the Moors or Stanley Poole, Moors in Spain, for
Yeah.
those who's familiar with all that scholarship with the history, the Almoravids and all that, the Moor history, yes, that's a beautiful history there. I
Yeah.
think the problem with the Moorish centric historians is that
Mhm.
I think the argument that people are bringing towards them is that, well, there's certain, although we can give them the X on them and say, hey, those are Moors, they're swarthy, they're dark. And then even
Right.
describe the mixed Moor as the tawny Moor or the light skinned Moor. We could talk about the Moors
The
being enslaved
Moriscos,
and they were
right?
called black Moors. There's many different types of Moors. You had dirty Moors. We
Right.
ain't gonna get into that right now. We had
Right. I
conquistador
wish I
Moors
wish
that
somebody
that
would, but
came.
okay. I wish they would, but
but
you got it.
I would say that I would say, and I'm just gonna say tell you the argument that other peoples are bringing. They're just saying
Uh,
that other tribes who are being called Moors, they don't
uh,
self-identify as Moors, and I think that's
I
their
know that though. I
argument
know that
about
though. But that's just like the same as saying, I know we in Rome, so I'll be a
it.
fool to
Right?
just keep saying, "Oh, we're in Rome," because that's not how you survive
Yeah.
in Rome. But
That's right.
you
That's
feel
right.
me? So the
That's
reason I'm
right.
saying more now is
Correct.
because of the power it's holding, where you can't go anywhere without
Hmm.
more as a more or less or more as a being on your mind, because there's so much
That's
out
fair.
there.
That's
And
fair.
because when I look into the history of like the Gullah Wars, and we look into
Uh-huh.
those Indians there, they wore
Mm-hmm.
turbans and they had
Yes, they
dreadlocks.
did. Yes, we did. We
So
the word
yeah,
for turban in Cherokee is alish konoshtosti, and it's dead on as a turban that you see an Arab wear.
it's a headdress. It's a
Dead
habit.
on.
And so if you're dealing
Indians
with
here
these
wore
words, it's a
Indians here. Niggas need to be wearing turbans to represent Native Americans more than the feathers on their head.
That's why I wear turbans.
I would argue that. The only reason I have it on my head because I have Powhatan blood because my Browns family is the deepest. My Cherokee roots is the deepest in Virginia. So I'm
Well,
honoring
that's
wearing
why I
the
wear the bandana,
Powhatan
Gary.
style,
I
but
don't know.
Cherokees don't wear what I have. I'm only doing it because I have the Powhatan Cherokee blood. That's the only reason I do it. I'm supposed to have like on my other head in my other pictures. I got the head wrap on. So yes,
Right.
it's true. We had the head wraps. In fact, we're still dressing like Moors now. In fact, the Seminoles who were the Seminoles who was the flyest dressing Aboriginals, they had
Right.
partial Moorish influence in their
Connection.
culture. It was Moorish influence. Period. That was part what gave them their fly because the Moorish niggas was flying Europe. Them
Fly
niggas
than
was
a
fly. The
motherfucker.
chains they had, they living style,
The
how they
color,
had their
the
women.
patterns,
Niggas
they
couldn't
was
fuck with
going
the Moors. They
crazy.
couldn't fuck with the Moors. They couldn't fuck with them, bro.
That's why they hate
They was too fly.
Moors.
They was
But
too
that's
fly.
why I love saying it, because you can't escape it now. It's already out there.
No, it is. But I think it gets a bad name now because a lot of dirty Moors put smut on the name of what it is to be a Moor. And then the whole sovereign citizen stereotype and
That's
the
what people don't think those agents
assassinations.
out here for real. They don't believe in paperclip. They think it's a joke.
They know the nationality thing that the Moors brought was probably the greatest threat that anybody in the woke community ever brought. The establishment of white supremacy. I don't even think the FOI give them smoke like that, or
No,
Nation of Islam, and they have an official army over all of us. That's our. If black people have an army in America, it's the NOI.
it's the
Them
nation that's
niggas.
on.
Them niggas.
For sure. For sure.
And they shit not a threat like that. It's the niggas claiming
And they cool
nationality.
it. They
It's the
don't bother
niggas.
them. That's funny. I find that weird. Why are they not terrorists?
Right.
Why are they not terrorists?
But the few people claiming this, because it's not a lot of Moors like that. Well, there's a lot more Moors now. I wonder how many numbers are there.
Yeah.
I remember. I don't know if
I
there's
think a
got
lot
to
of
be
us are
over at
still
least
alive in
5.
this
There's over 5 million Moors, and I remember that damn near 10 years ago.
When in Rome.
There's a lot of more.
I'm just one that don't care because I learn naturally. But a lot of people ain't get the knowledge the same way.
Listen, you'll hear me get on other Moors' ass, but I come out the Moors teaching. I know the importance of American jurisprudence, law, nationality. I'm aware of all that shit.
City state type shit.
I know that I'm not a Negro. I know that I'm not a Negro. And then here, watch this though. Watch this. I'm a proof. I encourage anybody to use this to destroy niggas that bring lies towards you. When they try to be anti-Moor, you got to remember the very word melanin is the word Moor, the exact same word. It's the same word in Spanish, moreno, melanocytes, melanin, moreno. So when they be like, man, we not Moors, and they say, no, I'm a melanated person. The word melanin is moreno, Moor. It's the word Moor. So you can't say you have melanin and say you're not a Moor. The very word description of melanin is saying you're a Moor.
You can't be an Egyptian. Moors are the high priest of Anu. How are you gonna be an Egyptian? Don't believe in Moors. That's why I be telling people you're hating yourself. You hate yourself.
Yeah.
That's the biggest one of the biggest things. It made you hate yourself.
and then they have names like Maurice, right? They have these they have all these names. Yeah, they have all these names that say more, that mean more.
Morals.
Literally saying the word.
All these noble titles. Morals.
Yeah.
All types of shit.
Yep.
You got the boring. Moringabo, Moringo to
Yeah,
land.
a lot of our colonizer surnames have Moorish rooted coat of arms. You go to the coat of arms of that surname. Just Google Google the European last name you have, and
Yeah.
then put coat of arms next to it in Google, or just do an etymology on it. It'll
You know what,
trace
yo?
back
I'm
to
gonna
a
be
coat
honest
of
with
arms
you.
that'll show you some Moors on a
Right.
cylinder, a family
I'm
house.
waiting because my dad said he has our book. So I'm waiting to get it from him. I don't even want to go online. I want to see what his book say because I think it's my grandfather's coat of arms book.
Yeah, you know, I definitely fuck with the Moors, but it's a lot of dirty Moors out there. But it's a lot of dirty comedic niggas out there. That's a lot of
It's
dirty
a lot of
atheist
dirty
niggas,
motherfuckers, period.
dirty God believer niggas. There's a lot of dirty. You understand what I'm saying? Like,
Just a lot of dirty niggas. It's just a lot of
it's a
dirty
lot of
ones.
dirty
It's just
niggas
a
out here,
dirty.
bro. It's a
You
lot of
gotta be
dirty
careful out
Aboriginal. It's
here.
a lot of dirty Aboriginal niggas. It's a lot of you know what I'm saying? Me like,
You know what I'm saying? They need some
Yoga,
posers around here. It's a lot of black plague
yoga,
going on. Let
yoga.
me
what's going
stop.
on?
I'm done. I
What's going
appreciate
on,
you,
bro?
bro. That's all I want to know. I just want to know if I should just continue on my journey as
Nah,
I
yeah,
see it.
stay on the Moorish stuff. Don't let no one. But I would say, but I did present to you that the problem that
Right.
people who want to call everything black Moor, which you can rightfully in description, because it's going to be
Right.
better than if I ask you what other word should I use, it's not going to be more noble. It's not going to be
Right.
attached to a people that has a history.
My
And I'm
history and the
gonna say, if I'm
culture.
not going to call them Moors, what do you want me to say? Well, they're going to say, watch this. They're going to say, well, they're Aboriginals, and that still comes back to foreign words
Indians and
and the
more.
word ab to be not original, and then they go, oh, I'm autochthonous. Well, autochthonous is a Greek word which deals with their mythology as springing out of the land. So yes, we could use the word
Bro,
autochthonous now, but that goes
just
back
take
to
me
Greek
the same way to the
mythology.
same
So you can't say
shit for
Hey,
autochthonous, you
hey,
can't say
yoga, yoga,
aboriginal, you can't say it. Do you see what I'm saying? So go
Yeah.
ahead.
yoga,
That's why I don't like it. I'm gone, man. I'm gone. Great panel.
yoga.
Yes, sir.
Would you would you do a debate?
I had many debates. I don't know who I would be debating, and I don't know if I would want to give my time to it because
Why
I
not?
attack
I'm gonna
things.
try. I'm gonna try
I
to have
attack things as a scholar. I use references. I do
yeah,
primary
yeah.
research.
Okay,
I do
this is what this
I do primary research. So if I debate anything in the Bible, only Hebrew. I'm strictly dealing with Hebrew, the grammar,
yes, yes,
you
that's
see
what
what I'm
I'm
saying? Because
talking
I'm a
about. That's
linguist.
yes. You read my mind. You read my mind. But it's not with me. I want to try and set a debate up. Okay? It's gonna be
I don't know.
is
I don't do blind debates. I don't know who are you.
what
Who do you
let me
think?
finish. Let me finish, yoga. Let me finish. The topic gonna be if the is the biblical Israelites are the Native Americans of America, right? And I'm gonna see if I can reach out to Cameroon and set it up on Beagle, okay? Would you debate Cameroon? I'm pronouncing this name wrong, but you know who I'm talking about. I want to set it up. This could be
I don't
epic.
know why you want to do that. I mean, he can run it to me on here if you want, but I'm not.
Okay.
Me personally, I'm gonna be honest. I'm not a fan for like looking like to debate people. But if he crosses my path and if he brings information and he wants to like discuss it scholarly, I have no problem doing it. He's not gonna
Okay,
win.
bet.
He's not gonna
I'm gonna
win
see. I'm gonna
because
see what I could do. I'm gonna reach out to the guy.
the
I
reason
go,
why he's not going to win before a debate even happens, I was statewide because
mm-hmm.
he's not gonna reference what the indigenous tribe themselves said and where they migrated
He will. This is
in
what the
their
debate gonna be
language.
for. This
In
is what
their
it's gonna.
language.
Yeah, he gonna. I'm gonna.
He's
Let
not
me
a
reach out.
linguist. I'm a
Follow me.
linguist. I'm a linguist. So honestly, like how our approaches is way different. So like for example, when I watch some of his videos, which I've done before, he'll cite a lot of old PDF files from early historians like Augustus Pledge Leon, James Churchward, the early uh colonists describing tribes here as they're trying to interpret who are these people. And they'll have parts of the book where they'll show Hebrew writing next to a Mayan glyph. And then they'll
That's
use
all
this
what?
comparison, they'll use this pseudo
Mhm.
non-linguistic comparison of lookology of words of drawings that look similar, a story, a legend, and among indigenous tribes here in America, where there was a being swallowed by a fish, and he lived in the fish for many years, and this fish was not the type of fish that we know today. And I will argue that that actually literally happened, but not in the literal sense of how we believe here on Earth. You see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I can tell you about the story about the pillar of salt and where that story really came from. So I'm not the person to be anti-Bible. I believe in the Bible more than you guys, because I've heard you guys
Mhm.
deny Bible scripture when they try to put it to you, like with the whole swallowed by a fish story or whatever that sounds fairy tale, like Ezekiel's wheels or uh Adam falling to a sleep in his rib, and you know what I'm saying? Like y'all be
Mhm.
denying the Bible source because it kind of sounds like unbelievable, but I understand why
Okay.
you would deny it because it doesn't make sense on how the writers did put these stories together. So I'm just saying that to
Well,
say that
since
I'm
you
not against
mentioned
the
about
Bible.
Adam Raven,
I'm not against the Bible itself, but I am against the Bible in terms of how it's not in its historical true context of how it was left by the ancients. So I just want to say that like off the dribble.
okay. Well,
But in
since
terms
you
of
mentioned,
indigenous people here, Kamareu does not cite what the people say here. He cites what colonists say about it. So he's injured there. He doesn't know how to do primary research. He doesn't know how to interpret the Mayan glyphs. I've said that they interpret the Mayan glyphs. He can't read the
well, well,
metadata. I can read Egyptian hieroglyphs. I'm
well,
trained.
well since you mentioned the rib, well, I believe in the rib. I've been listening to a guy talk at a panel talking about a penis bone and God didn't use a rib or whatnot. But little that people know, the highest concentration of stem cell is in the root of your teeth and is in your rib. Before your rib is your placenta that you was born with. Before your placenta is when the sperm fertilize the egg and the egg divide. That is the highest concentration of stem cells. Now, if you know about stem cells, if you want to, you know what I'm saying, create or grow an organ or a limb or whatnot, you're gonna need stem cells. And
So
when you grow
man
up,
was here first, right? Man was here first.
the Bible didn't say man was here first.
Sure about that? In English, it
I,
doesn't say the
uh-huh.
word, it doesn't use the word man or the word ish. Man is not, man wasn't created first, and then in Genesis 2:22, Adam fell into a deep sleep. Is that not wrote? And that means that Eve was created from out of Adam. You don't believe that?
Yeah, I thought the animals was created first.
No, 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 no. I'm talking about Genesis 2:22
Oh
when
yeah, 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 yeah.
Adam was,
Mine was
yeah, when
created
Adam
first.
was
Yeah,
put
yeah, for
into a
sure.
deep sleep, and
Yeah,
then
and he
Eve
removed
was
the rib.
okay.
Yeah, 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 yeah. And gosh, what was I gonna say? Oh, tell me about Samson. Tell me about Samson. I believe Samson fight 4,000 man and kill 1,000 and the 3,000 run away. I believe he ripped a lion from shred to shred. I believe in
What is
all of
okay?
that. But
So is
what do
there a
the
legend of a
story says
man?
about Samson? Huh?
Is there an event, an occurrence of an existence of a person who lived a life that resulted in the story documentation of Samson? Yes. Do I believe the actual man that we know as
Hmm.
Samson lived? No, he didn't live. But the storyline behind what he did, was it based on someone who did what he did? Yes.
Uh-huh.
Now watch this. In the
So
exact same
what
context
y'all
of how
background
in the
say?
exact same context to how the Bible describes? No.
So what y'all says about him? And I heard his real name was Sami, which was a man of Dan.
I would say to properly, if one is seriously want to understand the Bible, if you're in love with the characters, you have to go into the primary text to who in the ancient annals of history, who documented Samson, who's the outside of the writers in the Hebrew language, what primary story in any oral tradition, fossilized, where do we get extensive, deeper knowledge on this Samson story? And I think that would give you the answer before, because everybody else will force an answer when you ask them this question. I am a straight scholar on this, and I'm gonna tell you how it has to be approached, and not me just
Tell me,
telling you,
but
"Oh, that's fake.
tell
Don't
me
do
what
this."
your
I didn't say.
tell me
Notice
what.
I didn't say that Samson was fake and that story was made up. That's an
No, I want to know
unhistorical
your
statement.
background, like what y'all says. I know where you're coming from because when the Europeans came over and said this story, the Native Americans said, "Hey, we got a
Okay,
story
so
like that too."
right,
You
I
know?
can't tell you the exact Samson right now. I can't do that. I have to go in my files. I'm not about to make up nothing. I just know
Okay,
that
okay, that's cool. Go
story,
in your files and tell me
yeah, that
later.
story is rooted to something, and I don't know that one by memory in terms of ancient annals, because
Uh-huh.
there's many different claims around this Samson and the whole hair and the locks and what he represented and his losing his power. There's many theories. So I don't want to ignorantly reduce it down to one theory I biasly believe. That's not scholarly to do that.
No,
You
no.
understand what
Go
I'm
ahead and
saying?
research in your
I'm
papers or
giving a
whatnot.
methodology for one who's serious to
Yeah.
understand a story, and that same gem they can apply to everybody in the Bible. If you seriously want to understand your Bible, we'll learn
Okay.
what other sources are validating.
Okay. Follow me back. Follow
We
me
do
back. I
that?
followed you. Follow me back. I want to keep
Okay.
in touch with you. Tell me
Okay.
about what tell me if you remember anything about David.
You love the Bible, don't you? I can tell he loves the Bible. What? See, David in ancient history wasn't even a man. That's a woman. Dawood was a woman.
Okay.
Yes,
Which
it's
was
a
Pastor
feminine.
John.
Yes, it's the house. It's the house of the mother, really. It has nothing to do with what they made it in the biblical.
The house.
Study
So
Dawood.
who was
Dawood is
Bathsheba
how
in the
you say
story?
David in Hebrew. When you study
Who was
primary
Bathsheba?
text, when you study the primary text where you see Dawood mentioned, this is the storylines we read in the Bible. I have no association with who Dawood
What
was,
about
and
when
then
he put in
it blew my mind with the fact that
rooftop?
David was feminine. That's a female name. Feminine as a woman.
I'm saying, but
So
Okay, Davu.
that alone
what
is just
happened to the story when he
Okay.
seen the woman bathing on the rooftop and then he cheated and all that kind of shit?
Okay. So
no. Okay, so when you read the primary text of David, it's not okay. So there are segments of certain actual text that was put in or shared in the Bible, but the whole storyline of the history outside of the Bible, where we see the name David mentioned, it mentions a whole different storyline. And I think if people study all the characters, like even with Israel, every time you see the word Israel mentioned, somebody's scattered, somebody's destroyed in battle. They have their nuts cut off. They're castrated. Yes, the Shalmaneser, Stele, the Moabite stone, the Tel Dan stone, um, the Merner Patah Stele stone. What other one? Um, what was the other one? So I went through all the primary texts. I actually made an article on it. Everywhere Israel was mentioned, I pulled it up and I found out that historically, anytime you were defeated, especially in an area known as Jezreel Valley, that later became known under the Greek name Israel, that hold on, that pseudo Hebrew language scholars tied to falsely associate Israel with Yasharallah, Prince of Power. The word Israel has nothing linguistically with the Prince of Power. They're misinterpreting the story dealing with Jacob wrestling with the angel. And after he, watch this, his hip joint slipped out, right? He lost the battle with the angel, and that's how he got the name Israel. So even in the Bible, it proves you have to lose a battle to get the name Israel, because historically,